Welcome back to Grapple FK, everyone. We're going for the big one today, UFC 253. The main headliner, the headliner, Adesanya v Costa, which is Saturday, September the 26th, / Sunday, September the 27th. 3 a.m. British summertime. I was expecting it to be earlier than that for us. But there
that's
you go.
very late. Yeah,
that is pretty late, isn't it? They're clearly aiming for the American audience, which makes sense. Okay, let's go into the stats. Actually, before we go to the stats, Andrew, I just want to bring something up quickly. Saw something on Walid Ismail's Instagram today, and it was on some other MMA outlets. For those of you unfamiliar with Walid Ismail, he's an old school UFC fighter / Paulo Costa's BJJ coach. And basically, Costa and Adesanya ran into each other in Abu Dhabi in a hotel, and they were very, very chummy, like incredibly chummy, praising each other. And I have to be honest, that kind of pissed me off after the build-up. After all of the USADA talk and the Ricky Martin and all of that stuff, Adesanya running away, to see them so chummy was very, very strange.
Yeah, it's not what you want to see when you have a big match-up between two people who, ostensibly in the media don't like each other and they have some kind of personal rift. And then they're basically outed as actually being quite nice to each other and kind of obviously trying to play up the media thing to sell the fight.
It seems like that. Unless maybe they were warned in the hotel, don't do anything. But I mean, even then, I wouldn't have expected them to be that chummy. They could have just walked past each other.
Yeah, it looked like they were actually having a really nice time, like making jokes. I can understand if they're like being cordial and professional, shake hands, say hello, how are you, then, off you go. But it seems like they're kind of, they've artificially built, the media hype thing here.
Yeah. I didn't like that. I would have liked to see some trash talk, but there you go. Well, anyway, let's go into the stats. Israel Adesanya is 19-0. Paulo Costa's 13-0. Israel Adesanya 6-4. Paulo Costa 6-1. Although Paulo Costa in the video today didn't look too far off him in terms of height, but maybe they were wearing different shoes. Possibly Adesanya was wearing slippers. I'm not sure. Adesanya's got an 8-inch reach advantage, which is substantial, and also a 5-inch leg reach advantage, which also is very big. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the fight, they're both strikers. However, Adesanya's got an extensive kickboxing record of 75-5. And if we go down a bit, we can see that Paulo Costa's knocked out 92% of his opponents. Adesanya's knocked out 78%, and he's beaten 22% by decision. I believe Paulo Costa submitted someone in the well-known circuit called Jungle Fights 3 or 4 years ago. Funnily enough, he's actually a BJJ black belt. But we never see it.
Yeah, you never see it.
I
guess he gets too tired for that.
He gets.
Yeah. Well, this to me is a tale of two different striking styles. On the one hand, you've got a brawler who just comes forward swinging massive bombs at you. And on the other hand, you've got, an elite level kickboxer who uses some very sophisticated techniques. And I think that's worth talking about a little bit. Because, striking in the UFC is typically not very sophisticated. But occasionally you get somebody like Israel Adesanya, who is a legitimately elite striker outside of mixed martial arts. And you just kind of see the kind of level that they're at. So, and I've been thinking about this a lot, what makes a good boxer as opposed to just somebody who strikes in MMA. Well, what really good boxers do is they'll set up combinations with the jab, or they'll throw a feint. They'll feint, they'll feint a kick, just feint something. And they do that to evoke a response in their opponent. And what they're typically looking for is for their opponent to counter. It's often with a jab, it could be a cross or a hook, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then, when the opponent counters, they will do one of four things, right? They'll block, they'll slip, they'll duck, or they'll parry. Not that you see parrying much in MMA. And then, so once they're doing either of those four things, they're already thinking about countering and landing a combination when their opponent is still kind of recovering from throwing their own shot. So when they're still slightly off balanced. That is what Israel Adesanya does. And the reason that's so important is it goes beyond countering. It goes beyond just waiting for your opponent. It goes beyond being first and just walking your opponent down. It gives you the initiative. It gives you a game plan, and it means that you're one step ahead. You're baiting your opponent into doing something that you can react positively to, and at the end of it, you can land a combination, and that is what wins. Striking matchups. So this is what. Not many people do this, as far as I've seen. Maybe you've seen some people do this. The only people I've seen do this are Israel Adesanya, George Masvidal, maybe on occasion Darren Till, and perhaps Stephen Thompson. I'm not sure.
No, I know what you're getting at, and everyone you mentioned there, bar Masvidal, has got a kickboxing and Muay Thai background outside of MMA. They started off in a striking sport. Of course, Stephen Thompson also has karate. Well, I guess Masvidal had street fighting, but I know what you're talking about. The other thing I would say is Adesanya can also do the Matrix, that thing where he just goes like that.
He's tall enough, long enough to do that.
Times. Yeah. It's like he's got no spine. I do agree with that. I think Adesanya is definitely the more sophisticated striker. I mean, he's had almost 100 fights, including his kickboxing fights. However, Costa has got serious power. And he throws a hell of a lot of output in the first 3 rounds. Obviously, this is a 5-round fight. If we just go into some more sophisticated stats. So we can see here, significant strike landed per minute. Costa's 8.43, Adesanya's 3.96. Okay, Adesanya's more of a counter striker anyway. And he's incredibly accurate. Although for some reason, his accuracy is lower than Costa's as well. I can only put that down to he's had more fights.
Yeah, that may be part of it. These figures can be skewed by a couple of big fights. So I think, Costa, he gets people against the cage, and he lands like a lot of shots against the cage.
First 2-3 rounds, yeah.
Yeah. And if he's not taking much damage at all, and that's lasting like 1 minute for the whole fight, that could really skew the stats.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's happening.
He, I mean, let's talk about his previous fight, Costa's previous fight, and this is why I think, obviously we disagree on this. This is why I think Costa will win this. His previous fight, the way he went against Yoel Romero, he just ran at him like a bull, took his shots, fired shots back, and eventually won a unanimous decision. Obviously, that's a common opponent between them. Adesanya, he played a very clever game against Yoel Romero. He didn't stand there. He didn't wait to be hit, which is very clever, very intelligent. It was a boring fight, but, you have to do what you have to do to win, right? To remain champion.
Mm-hmm.
However, there was one segment of the fight where Yoel hit him and Adesanya buckled. And there's also several parts of the Gastelum fight where Adesanya either fell over or buckled. And I'm just thinking, what happens when this guy, I mean, look at him, actually even hits him with one cross? What's going to happen to Adesanya? Because he will get him at some point in the fight. I mean, Gastelum tagged him. Gastelum's 5'9".
Let's dissect how Adesanya got tagged in both of those fights. In the Yoel Romero fight, Romero stood in the center of the cage and didn't come forward. His game plan was obviously to let Izzy come forward and then counter. Yep. So Izzy had to play his game, because if Izzy didn't, he would just stay on the outside and then nothing would have happened. So Izzy had to come to him. And then Romero managed to get some good shots in. That were hard, but not quite hard enough to put him away.
No.
In the Gastelum fight, Gastelum being a good boxer himself, who can close distance effectively, Yeah, he just got on the inside and got him with a left hook. I think that's credit
And
to
knocked him down, right?
Gastelum. Or nearly knocked him down.
I think he knocked him down, or it was a flash knockdown, and he got straight back up. I can't. He
Yeah.
hurt him. He had him
It
hurt.
was something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's credit to Gastelum. Now, but both of those scenarios where Adesanya got tagged were a function of the game plans. So Costa is not going to do what Romero did and wait for Izzy to come to him. Costa's going to march forward. But unlike Gastelum, Costa is not going to close the distance intelligently. He's not going to use head movement. He's not going to feint and then go. He's just going to march forward like, Terminator. And I think, obviously, we don't know how this is going to go necessarily, but I think Israel Adesanya is going to see him coming because he's literally going to be doing this, and he'll either get out the way or he'll counter. I just don't think he's got the sophisticated boxing to close the gap intelligently enough. Because, Costa, as you said, he's very powerful, but he doesn't feint. He's got no footwork. He doesn't move his head. He just literally walks straight at you.
He walks straight at you, and he throws very, very hard punches and kicks, combinations, and he's got a hell of a chin. However, I do agree with you. If you are marching at someone like Adesanya like that, it's probably not the best idea. One thing we have to take into consideration with this fight is it's in a smaller octagon. Now, I think that's going to play against Adesanya here massively.
Yep.
Because if Costa's running him down like that, I still think Adesanya will do well and probably stay out of his punching range for a decent segment of the fight. But I just have a feeling that Costa at some point will get to him with a barrage of punches that he won't be able to take.
For sure, with the smaller octagon, that favors Costa's style massively.
Yeah, hugely. The only thing about Costa that really worried me today, actually, when I was watching that video, the Walid Ismail video, he still looks massive, and the fight is next week. I have no idea how this guy makes middleweight. I have no idea. He looked huge.
Yeah.
And he looked twice the size of Izzy. Sorry?
His legs aren't that big. But yeah, he's still huge.
Yeah, but still, I mean, the guy is massive, and I mean, he's not really had weight cutting issues before, or not that I can remember of.
How old is he?
He's young. I'm not sure. Can you check?
Yeah.
He's pretty young.
Because
that's probably why he can make it.
Yeah, if he's like the right side of 30, then you can cut weight relatively easily. Let's have a look. I think he's about, I'm gonna say like 28, 29.
Yeah, late 20s probably.
29, yeah, 29.
Yeah. And also he lives quite a clean life. He doesn't drink that much and so on.
Apart from the steroids.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
You sort of tested him. You sort of tested him, by the way. Yeah, they did. They tested him.
But where? And did they come to Brazil?
They went to Brazil a week and a half ago.
So they found it in the budget to travel to Brazil.
Yeah, they tested him. It's official, mate.
So John Jones will no longer be going to live in Brazil.
John Jones is no. He's not heading to Brazil.
He's cancelling his ticket.
No, I think John Jones will just go and live in Mexico probably and just have a lot of meat.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
there's something. There's a really important point I want to say about Costa's style. Yeah, the smaller cage favors him. I was also thinking that Costa inadvertently, accidentally has actually quite a good style to beat Israel Adesanya. Because what people have done against Izzy before is they try and engage in technical kickboxing matches with him. They'll stand with him, and they'll try and use their technical boxing to outstrike him. But you're never going to win a technical boxing match against Israel Adesanya. It's never going to happen. Martin Vettori tried to do it. I can't think of who else. I mean, Gaslam tried to do it. I think Gaslam did pretty well. Obviously, it didn't work.
I think Brunson kind of tried to do it as well, certain sections of the fight before he got knocked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what kind of style? If technical boxing is not going to beat Israel Adesanya, the best thing is to just turn it into, you know, a chaotic shitfest. You turn it into a mess, a war.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get in his face, you walk him down, and you don't give him space to do all the fancy stuff that he's capable of doing. And Paulo Costa has exactly that style.
Yeah. You've gone off screen, Andrew.
Yeah, so let me get this back.
Oh, no problem. Well,
yeah, there we go.
Interestingly, the only time Adesanya has been knocked out in his combat sports career was by a Brazilian kickboxer named Alex Oliveira. He KO'd him once, and he won a unanimous decision against him once too. And he's got a very, very aggressive style. Obviously, that's kickboxing, which is completely different to MMA. Different gloves, different everything.
Mm.
But he has a very aggressive style, and he was just rushing Adesanya to the point where he KO'd him. So
I think that works. I think being a bully.
You have to. Yeah, you can't do what you said. You've got no chance.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's got 8-inch reach advantage. How's he going to stand on the outside? He's got no chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think Israel Adesanya wins this, but I also can see a scenario whereby Paulo Costa just walks him down, pressures him back, and Israel is against the cage. And then Costa does what he does best, which is swing those hooks to the head, then the shots to the body in a massive, amazing flurry of power.
Yeah.
That's how he finishes fights, right?
Before 3 rounds, though, I agree with you in terms of, I think we've discussed this before, in terms of 5 rounds for Costa. I don't think he can get to the 4th round and have knockout power.
I think Costa's got 1.5 rounds or 2 rounds in him where he's effective.
I think he can knock someone out in the 3rd round as well.
We saw that in the Romero fight. They were both exhausted.
Yeah, but that fight, that's not going to be... I don't think he'll rush Adesanya the way he rushed Romero. That was like a movie fight. I've never seen a fight like that in the UFC before.
He's got to do that, though. Maybe not to that extent.
Yeah, but then you also, Romero took him down a few times, which obviously tires you out quite a lot. Adesanya can't do that. So I don't think he'll get as tired in this fight. The ring's smaller. He's covering less ground. So I think I think the 3rd round is where he's effective until, I think anything after the 3rd round, Adesanya's won the fight. Yeah. So I think anyone who's well, a lot of people watching are probably gamblers. I will probably do something like KO for Costa under 2.5 rounds. That's the most likely scenario in my mind.
Yeah, I would extend that to say KO for Costa under 1.5 rounds. I just don't think he's that effective at the end of round 2, to be honest.
He's knocked a few people out in round 2.
Let's
I think he has. I'm pretty sure he's knocked a few people out in round 2. But check that, because it's mainly round 1 knockouts.
Yeah, Uriah Hall. Actually, that fight with Uriah Hall I wanted to talk about that. So he knocked out Uriah Hall in round 2, halfway through round 2. He knocked out Johnny Hendricks 1 minute and 26 into round 2. Oluwale Bangobose 1 minute into round 2. And the rest are round 1s. So it's kind of either halfway through or in the first half of the 2nd round.
Yeah.
Yeah, just quickly, that Uriah Hall fight, because, I always try to look for comparable fights that could indicate what's going to happen in this fight. So Uriah Hall is a big, long striker, decent striking. He kind of he's a 50-50 fighter, but he does have good striking.
Yeah, he does.
And in that fight, Uriah Hall he kept on the outside, and he just pumped the jab. He just peppered his Paulo Costa's face over and over again with that jab. And he was winning that fight until Paulo Costa caught him. And I think the danger was Uriah Hall was having success on the outside, but he allowed Paulo Costa to close the distance. And he stood in front of Paulo Costa when he shouldn't have done. Had he stayed on the outside, he would have won that fight. And it's the same thing with Izzy. If Izzy stays on the outside, throws the jab, throws the occasional counter, throws those low leg kicks,
Yeah.
I think he should win this fight. And I think Izzy's got the discipline not to make the same mistake Uriah Hall did.
Oh yeah, he's definitely a more experienced seasoned striker than Uriah Hall.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you. How much grappling do you think is going to be involved in this fight? Because Romero and Costa had their moments. Romero v Adesanya, their common opponent, barely any grappling was involved. Do you think any kind of grappling against the cage, or do you think anyone will attempt a takedown, or do you think it'll be purely stand-up?
I don't see this going to the ground at all. I think, but Paulo Costa, I don't think Paulo Costa has ever elected to go to the ground. I don't think Israel Adesanya.
He's got one submission on his record. But yeah, that was not in the UFC. The reason why I asked that is because I've been watching training videos of Paulo Costa. For some reason, he's been working a lot on his ground game. So he was doing various wrestling drills with Walid Ismail. He was doing jiu-jitsu with one of Davison Figueiredo's coaches. And I found that quite strange.
Is this recently?
Yeah, recently. Yeah, like over the last 3-4 weeks. I found it quite strange because, Adesanya's a blue belt in BJJ. He's got good takedown defense, but he's not an offensive wrestler. So could there be some kind of game plan that is completely new?
There could be. Maybe Paulo Costa thinks, well, I'm not going to beat him on the feet. Maybe I can get him to the ground and ground and pound him or submit him. If he is, as you said, he's a Brazilian BJJ black belt.
Yeah.
He's probably going to have the advantage on the ground.
He's got a very good BJJ coach, one of the best in the world.
That's interesting.
I found it very odd. That's why I brought it up, because I don't know. I found it odd, and they didn't look like, because every MMA fighter has to cover every aspect of MMA going into a fight, right? You have to.
Mm-hmm.
But they were really drilling certain things.
What was offensive?
Defense against the cage, for instance. Being in guard, being on top of the person. They were really drilling it. And I was thinking, why the hell are they doing this?
Yeah, that's strange. I think that could be smart from his point of view.
It could be, because if he's rushing towards Izzy, and Izzy's thinking, okay, he's going to throw at me, let me put my hands up, what's going to happen? His legs are exposed. And I've never seen Costa shoot for a takedown. In fact, his takedown average is 0. It says it there. But being a BJJ black belt, and some of the clips I saw, and obviously you can't really go on clips in this business, but he is a very powerful man. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that he could get someone like Adesanya down. Although Adesanya does have good takedown defense.
Yeah, I literally just looked that up. Israel Adesanya's takedown defense is 67%.
Yeah, because Brunson's a good wrestler, and against Brunson, I remember that fight quite clearly. He fended Brunson's takedowns off like 4 or 5 times quite easily.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. If you're not a wrestler, you spend most of your time just training takedown defense. So, yeah. But yeah, I think that's a really interesting idea. To be honest, I would love to see Paulo Costa do that game plan and go for the takedowns. If that does happen, I've literally no idea how this fight goes.
Well, that's the thing, right? If they end up on the ground, I mean, you would think, going on their BJJ credentials, that Paulo Costa could submit him, because Paulo Costa has submitted someone before, albeit in a lesser-known organization, Jungle Fights. But he's a BJJ black belt, and you can't just get a BJJ black belt in Brazil.
No,
You know,
can't,
you got to
no.
be a somebody. You got to be good at it. And his BJJ coach is known as the Gracie Killer. So I don't know. I just found it very. I just wanted to throw it out there because I think a lot of people looking at this fight will immediately think striker v striker. But then when I saw those videos, I was thinking, why are they drilling this so much?
But when was this exactly?
I've been seeing it on Instagram over the last 3, 4, 5 weeks, maybe.
Okay, so it's part of the camp, the training
Yeah,
camp.
part of the camp. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that is interesting. I think if you're hot on Paulo Costa, that's another data point that kind of supports your theory.
Yeah.
Overall,
I mean,
I have to give this to Israel Adesanya.
yeah, I mean, anyone who says Adesanya retains his belt, I can see all the points. Great striker, very, very elusive, great counter striking. He's got power. He's got chin. He's been tagged before. He's got back up. I just favor Costa. I think Costa will get him out of there under 2.5 rounds, which is what I'm going to bet on. I just think he'll get clipped at some point with a combo, and he'll go down.
This is the thing. The Costa's going to have to land clean, flush.
Yeah.
With Adesanya's head movement and defense, I don't think he gets hit clean that much, that often.
No, he doesn't. No. I mean, but let's dissect who he's fought. Yo Romero, that was a boring fight. There wasn't really much thrown. Gastelum's 5'9". He's not really a middleweight. And I'm not shitting on his record. He's a very good fighter. Silva's ancient. Brunson was going through a bad patch. And all of these guys, bar Silva, are around 6 foot. Costa's around 6'1". I suspect he's slightly taller given some of the videos I've seen, because I remember him at the weigh-in against Romero. Romero's listed at 6 foot. They were both wearing slippers, and Costa looked taller than him. I think Costa might be around 6'2", 6'1.5". He's a big man, very muscular. I don't know. I've got a feeling. I've got a ball tingle, Andrew. I've just got a feeling. It's the same thing with Stipe Cormier. It didn't make sense. It was Cormier on paper, but I just had a feeling that Stipe would do it.
It's a ball tingle. I can't bet against the ball tingle, so I'm now.
No, you can't.
I'm
but I should get
Paulo
this checked
Costa.
out. I just have a feeling Costa will finish him under 2.5 rounds, but I wouldn't put. I'm not putting this in the cum. I'll do a separate bet.
Yeah, I probably would put Israel.
What are the odds?
Let's have a look. I probably would put Izzy in a risky cum, not a safe cum.
Yeah.
I also might bet on a Paulo Costa stoppage within the first 1.5 rounds. Let's have a look. I need to get this up.
So for the viewers out there, the Walid and Andrew betting plan normally is a safe cum and a risky cum. It's just a way of hedging against losing your money, essentially. And to be honest, most of our predictions are right. I think we're probably at 90% at the moment. So 90% of the time, we are right all the time. That's an Anchorman line, if anyone doesn't know.
Yeah, very good, yeah. I was trying to think, what was that a cologne that guy used to wear?
Yeah, Sex Panther.
Sex Panther, yes.
60% of the time, it works all the time.
Okay, so yeah, Israel Adesanya odds for winning are he's a minus 162 favourite. I actually think there's a fair amount of value there for Israel Adesanya. And Paulo Costa is just 1 second. Is a plus 125 underdog. I don't think there's a lot of value there, to be honest.
No, the value will come if you pick a specific round or do something KO on the 2.5 rounds or some shit like that. You got to be
Yeah.
specific with it. Yeah.
Personally, I think there's
Okay.
reasonable value for Izzy here. So
Yeah, that's not bad to put in the risky come.
yeah. So should we get down to the predictions?
Let's get down to the predictions. So you go first, Andrew.
I'm going to say Israel Adesanya, TKO, round 4.
Yeah,
On,
that would make that makes sense.
on
Actually.
the basis that
Yeah.
Paulo Costa is going to be an exhausted mess going into the 4th round. And I think he'll just be overwhelmed. I think Israel is just going to pop him too many times, and Paulo won't know what to do, and he'll just collapse in a heap.
In a sexy mess.
Big, sexy Ricky Martin mess.
Yeah. Damn, I wish I had his body. I'm going to predict Costa early round 3 TKO/KO.
Round 3. You don't think round
Early.
1? You don't
No,
think round 1 or 2?
No, very, very early in round 3, I think.
But Paulo Costa's not going to get any better as the fight goes on. He's going to get worse.
It's just a theory I have.
Just a ball tingle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I've got and the reasoning behind it is not just my ball tingle. I think he can go into round 3. I don't think he'll be as tired as with the Romero fight. And obviously, the guy has stupid power. He marches forward like a very sexy zombie, and he lets off wild shots with a lot of power. And he has an incredible chin. He's never been knocked out. So I think he will get to Izzy.
Okay.
That's my prediction. And
I
that's it.
I can see that happening, but
You're thinking earlier, right? You're thinking maybe round 2, round 1.
yes, and I'll describe maybe a 25% possibility of that happening. I think 75% of the time, Israel maintains the distance and pieces them up slowly but surely.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, we were never going to agree on this, let's be honest. Okay, well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We've given the predictions. This is going to be probably the fight of the year, in my opinion. This is a very, very, very interesting fight. You have to tune in for this and stay tuned. We're coming out with more fight predictions very, very soon for UFC 253. Thank you for everyone watching. A few people have left comments. We've had more subscribers. We're happy to answer any questions. Please follow, please subscribe, and we'll get back to you ASAP with any answers you need. Thank you. Take care, and see you soon.
Cheers. Bye.